we weren't effective enough in the high red to put touchdowns on the board. And I think that in and of itself was probably a microcosm of the game because we had plenty of opportunities, but we didn't capitalize on it. The beauty of it for us is this one stings. It's hard, but we get a chance to regroup here in a couple weeks and get into the college football playoff and go compete for a national championship. And I think we're plenty good enough to go win that.
Welcome back to the Coach Lee Show. I am your host, Coach Lee, and today we're going to take a listen to what Steve Sarkisian got to say about losing to Georgia, not one time, but 2 times in the same season. They may even meet again. If you don't know, you should know. You wouldn't be here if you didn't know. Georgia beat Texas 22-19. Carson Beck is trash. Kirby Smart is brilliant. Quinn Ewers had a great night. He threw 2 interceptions, but he threw for almost 350 plus yards. Y'all know I like Quinn Ewers. I do not think Arch Manning is the answer. All these experts telling y'all that Arch Manning is the answer, he not. And listen, as a Georgia fan, I'll pray to God and I hope that Texas plays Arch Manning or starts Arch Manning in the playoffs. Because if they do, they cook. Arch Manning's gonna get everybody in Texas fired. So we're gonna check out this video from the post-game interview from Texas, Steve Sarkisian. Let's get it.
Okay, Coach, we'll have some opening statements. We'll go to questions for the players. The players will be dismissed, and Coach will finish. First question. Front row.
That's weird. Like, I've watched a lot of post-game interviews, and they never let the players go first. They always opening statements from the coaches. Then they usually ask the coaches the questions, and then they hit the players. Why are they going straight to the players right now? That's weird.
Quinn, throughout the game, why do you think the offense just kind of had some struggles punching it in and having to settle for field goals?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Before we just start peppering our players. Okay, so.
And it was a great leadership move by Steve Sarkisian to take the initial blunt, the initial force of this loss instead of letting the players have to deal with that onslaught first. So I do like this move by Steve Sarkisian, like 100%.
First of all, this is a life of a competitor, okay? You get into this arena, you compete at the highest level against quality opponents. There's going to be sways and flows in a ball game that are sometimes go your way, sometimes don't. And I think the challenge in games like this is to maximize the opportunities when you get them. And in the first half, we had some great opportunities, and we just couldn't capitalize the way we would have liked. Clearly, the penalties were an issue in the first half, where we stalled out on some things and gotten some 3rd and longs and whatnot. Our defense played a fantastic first half. I think it was like 260 yards to 54, but the score was 6-3. So clearly, we weren't capitalizing on the opportunities we had. They made the change at quarterback. I think it sparked them some and provided some different style of offense running the quarterback. I thought our guys showed a great deal of resiliency and fight today to fight back, to force overtime. But at the end of the day, we weren't effective enough in the high red to put touchdowns on the board. And I think that in and of itself was probably a microcosm of the game because we had plenty of opportunities, but we didn't capitalize on it. The beauty of it for us is this one stings. It's hard. But we get a chance to regroup here in a couple weeks and get into the college football playoff and go compete for a national championship. And I think we're plenty good enough to go win that. But we're going to need to get healthy so we can put our best foot forward to make that happen.
You plenty good enough to go win it if you don't see Georgia in the next 3-4 games. And listen, Carson Beck is trash. I have several videos being highly critical of Carson Beck over the last couple months, and I had zero worries. I actually felt better when Garner Stockton came in, even though I ain't never seen Garner Stockton play. I was just like, he can't be that much worse than Carson Beck because Carson Beck is trash. And then you look at the stats, he was actually having a better game than Carson Beck. He threw that one stupid interception. That thing was stupid. Well, he threw it, but overall, he was having a much better game passing and running the football than Carson Beck. Now, I don't personally care who Georgia starts because I just really believe in our defense. I believe in that run game. I ain't gonna lie. Your boy, what's the boy name? Nate Frazier he irritated me. Hey, they could have left Nate in Atlanta and let him ride back with Texas after he fumbled that ball on the goal line. But our running game was much needed. Did a good job. Carson Beck is trash.
Okay, first question.
Quinn, why do you think you guys struggled a little bit to capitalize on those opportunities, especially there in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, we were moving the ball well throughout the entire first half, and I think, like Coach Stark was saying, we had plenty of opportunities, but I think we just shot ourselves in the foot a couple times and gotten some third and longs down there that are just hard to get out of, and yeah.
And for the record, I thought Texas called a much better game on offense than Georgia did on offense. I thought Georgia was way too conservative. But I think that's in part to Carson Beck being trash. I'm going to keep saying, I'm probably going to say it until the draft because somebody going to talk themselves into drafting Carson Beck first overall or in the first round, and they're going to be fired in 2 years. I'm telling you now, if you take Carson Beck in the first round, you're going to get fired. You're getting fired. So I would strongly caution any team to not taking Carson Beck in the second round. He's a much better value and a much less of a risk. Second through seventh, he probably falls to that second, third round. But if you take him in the first round, you're taking a risk because he ain't consistently good, and consistency is the number one thing you need at the quarterback position. Really, the number one thing you need at any position, but definitely the quarterback position.
Second row.
Yeah, today Trevor Etienne had 2 touchdowns today and had 3 in October against you. Why was he so hard to corral, do you feel like?
I think we just need to do a better job on defense. We were a good job first half, but I think throughout the second half we just lacked tackling, and that's something we'll correct on this 2-week stretch.
Johnny, how do you balance that? Even though you're disappointed right now in the moment, you guys still have had a successful season, and you still have a chance to, rebound from this in the playoffs.
Just because the level, the culture that Sark created here. And knowing that we still in it and we still have opportunity to make things right, and it can't just be poor me's for the next 2 weeks. You got to get back to work, and we'll fix what we need to fix.
Front row, left side.
Quinn and Jade, forget about the stats. There's people who watch this game, kids, adults. The way you guys fought into the very end. Take us through that. And how did you get the gumption to not give up no matter what?
Bro, what question? What question was that, man?
Yeah, I think the coaches do a really good job of putting us in stressful situations, whether that be in winter during workouts or in summer during the summer workouts. I mean, and ultimately that honestly just carries onto the football field. And I mean, again, like you said, I think we did a really good job of fighting until the very end. And some plays didn't go our way.
To piggyback off what he said, and then again, just about our culture. He always tells us adversity will strike. We don't know when it will strike, but at the end of the day, we just have to be back to back and be there for our brothers. So we're going to continue to fight for one another, and we'll just fix it.
Front row on the right.
Quinn, kind of piggybacking off of Danny's question, obviously the windows get tighter down there in the red zone and whatnot. Did it seem like anything that Georgia was doing specifically that kind of made things tough down there, or did it feel more just like your guys, inability to capitalize on those opportunities?
No, I mean, I feel like we had a good plan going in for sure, and we just didn't capitalize. At the end of the day, I think it was all on us, and we had plenty of opportunities to go capitalize, and again, just some games go that way, I guess, but we're definitely going to take a look at it and go from here, and it's cool because the new 12-team playoff, we get to keep playing ball.
And you know what's crazy? If you only watch both teams' offenses, you would have thought that Texas won that game by 15, 20 points because offensively they could do pretty much whatever they wanted to. I think they moved a couple guys in the offensive line. I think they benched or took out Campbell. For whatever reason, they took, I think, Devon Campbell. I think they took him out for whatever reason. But overall, man, he threw for 358 yards. Two interceptions, 1 touchdown, but they got pretty much everything they wanted, and those 2 interceptions were stupid. But offensively, I thought they played a great game. They just couldn't do anything once they got inside the 20, inside the 30, inside the 10, inside the 5. Then they missed a couple field goals, so I'm like, ugh, that's ugly.
Go ahead.
Jade on the interception. When you looked down the field, what did you see? Did you see an avenue to the end zone there?
Yeah, I seen green grass.
What kind of question was that?
Jade, how difficult is it to deal with a backup quarterback who you guys had not prepared for and also has a bit of a different skill set than the starter?
I mean, we just got to go to adjustments and trust PK's plan. I think we just lack tackling the second half, and that's something we have to correct our end, and then it's just a 1-2 thing.
Hey, Texas, y'all played a great – I mean, I think both defenses stood tall. I think on paper most people think the Texas defense is better, and you may be right. But I think both defenses did a good job. I mean, you held Georgia 22 points with or without Carson Beck. That's commendable. So I don't really – there ain't too much the defense could do. You hold a person to – 21 points or 20 or 19 points in regulation, you probably should win that game. But that's the same thing we said on the Georgia side. But Texas has a much better offense than Georgia, in my opinion. I watched every Georgia game. I watched a few Texas games, but Texas has a much better offense with Quinn Ewers at the helm than Georgia. And the fact they couldn't manufacture more points was crazy.
Middle.
Quinn, with their pass rush being pretty effective, how do you feel like you handled their pressure today, especially considering what's on your ankle?
Yeah, I think, starting with the O-line, I think they did a good job of handling all those stuff that they do on defense, especially with their backers and with all the stuff going on in the front seven. I think they did a good job. And, I think we moved pretty well in the pocket. And I think, again, that just goes back to the O-lineman making pocket for me.
Last two questions for players, left side.
For both of you, Quinn and Jade, Coach alluded to it. Now is you got the shot. You have to win an extra one to get back here. You guys kind of feel like you're built for this, though, because of, I guess, the way you guys are made?
Yeah, everything we've been through. It started off in spring ball and then just going into fall camp. We built something here and it's culture. It's not building a relationship on the field. It's building something off the field and just knowing what we've been through together. So even when adversity strikes, you got to get back up. He always tells us how we respond. So we just have to respond in the right fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, our culture is built for this, and we're built for the moments that we're going into. And I have no doubt in each and every guy in that room that they believe the same exact thing that I'm saying right now. I mean, I said it earlier this season. It's 10% what happens, 90% how you react to it. And I think we do a good job of handling adversity.
Final question for players, fourth row.
Quinn, from on the field, was there anything that you saw at the line of scrimmage that was difficult to run the ball against? Because the running game you've led on the last couple of weeks. Was there anything that you saw from the line of scrimmage that they were doing differently?
No, I mean, I think they just do a good job of creating one-on-ones and in certain situations like that. And we'll watch it and check it out. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
So, I mean, I think on offense and D, I think Texas played a great game. I think offensively they need to figure out what they need to do in that high red zone. If you don't know what the high red zone, that's the end zone where you scoring versus when you backed up in your own end zone. Basically, the opponent's end zone when you're closer to that area. Cause they could move the ball up and down the field before the 20. But as soon as they got to the 20, hey, it was shut down. So they need to figure that part out. Well, hopefully they don't, because I don't want Texas to win nothing.
Questions for the coach, fourth row, left side.
Hey, Steve, how excited are you to see what your team's gonna come back and do? You've got 2 weeks to challenge them to fix this. How excited are you about this challenge?
Yeah, I have no doubt these guys give me no reason for pause that they won't rebound and play really good football in 2 weeks. You know, they've done that over the last 2 years, that this group will always bounce back. You know, our backs were against the wall a year ago. We had to win out to get to the Big 12 championship game to win that. This year, our backs were against the wall. We had to win out to get to Atlanta. They did that. And so their ability, as they touched on, to respond to adversity, to not hang their heads, but to get right back to work has been something that I continually am impressed by, kind of the resolve that they have. And so, like I said, I have no pause that they'll come back ready to work here next week. And we got to manage these 2 weeks the right way. We got to get as healthy as we can get for a 4-game season.
Right side, front row.
Steve, just kind of piggybacking off the question I asked Quinn, in the high red there, from a play caller's perspective, and I know obviously you haven't seen any film, but did it seem from your perspective more like something that Georgia was doing, or just inefficiency on your guys' part?
Probably a combination. They're a good football team. They've got good schemes. They've got good players. There's a couple bang plays that we weren't able to get. I think the negative plays kind of hurt us when we got there. I think a couple of the penalties when we got down there hurt us as well. And now you're playing behind the chains, which is never where you want to be in the red area. And anytime you're in third and long in the high red, those are difficult kind of circumstances to be in. And so, I really wish we could have executed a little better earlier in the game and stretched the lead when we had some better opportunities. Late in the game, at the end of the ball game, you're in some of those throw type situations. But it was kind of, the overtime was kind of a microcosm of the game. We couldn't put the ball in the end zone. We had to settle for a field goal, and that opened the door for them to score and win the ball game. So, if we're fortunate enough to see them again, we're going to have to improve in that area.
Well, y'all don't want to see Georgia again. You don't want to do that. I guarantee it. You don't want to do that, Steve.
Right here, front row.
Coach, I can send you.
Like Georgia owns y'all right now mentally. I think like I said, I think y'all definitely could have won the second game. Y'all had no shot the first game. Played much better this game. Offense looked better. Defense looked better. But you didn't execute in key downs, man. So you lost.
Your emotions naturally. It was a tough loss. The regular time in the game was over, going into overtime. You guys left it all on the field. Can you walk us through, or maybe talk to fans who might be listening? What were you guys going through? It's like you never get to see somebody fight like that.
Yeah, no, this was a heck of a football game, and they're, like I said, I have a ton of respect for their program and their team, what Kirby's done here for 7-8 years now. And so we knew it was going to take 60 minutes. I didn't know it was going to take 60 minutes plus overtime, but we knew that's what this game would take. And so we challenged them on Monday about whatever you got in your tank, we got to empty the tank Saturday. And we'll have plenty of time to recharge our batteries and refuel our tank. But I think every guy that was out there battling, competing, left it all out there. And that's all you can ask of as a coach.
Right side.
Steve, whether it's Malik's false start or Jalen not getting that block on that INT return, how do you clean up those little things?
Well, they're, I think, two separate things. We've had an issue with false starts on field goals, so we got to clean up that timing. This is a second time now, I think, in 2 or 3 weeks that's occurred. In the midst of a play in game, your football reactions just kick in, and sometimes you make the block, sometimes you don't, sometimes you see things happen, you didn't see it happen. So I don't know. I have to look at the tape on that particular play. But then there's other heady plays, like at the last play of the first half, Anthony Hill's laddering the ball to Barron. We're trying to get in the end zone because our guys knew it was the last play. So I think our football awareness is pretty high. But there's some things clearly that we need to improve upon because I think we had, I'm not sure, I think maybe 4 holdings or something in the game today again, which was something that had reared its ugly head kind of mid-season. And I thought we had it rectified, but tonight it showed back up again.
Right side, front row.
When you guys have the best record in the SEC in the regular season, do you feel like you should have to play in this game to win the SEC in the 12-team playoff era? And secondly, how do you feel about, in the 12-team playoff era, adding another 60 minutes of wear and tear on you and Georgia's body as well? The rest of the teams are at home.
Hey, I really value this game. I think this game means a ton to the Southeastern Conference. We joined this conference. I was fortunate to be part of this conference as an assistant, coached in it twice. This is a heck of a game, and it's an honor to play in it. It was an honor to play in it today. We didn't come out on top, and especially the way it's structured, where not everybody gets to play everybody. So I think it's probably the right thing to do to have a championship game. Now it's our job to kind of regroup and get ourselves as healthy as we can to go compete, in a playoff. And so we have time. We essentially have a bye to get ready for that game. And so we'll do the best we can. I know our players will from a rehab and a recovery standpoint. We'll find out who we're playing and put together a plan and go to work.
Left side.
Hey, Coach, I know it's hard to do big picture perspective right after a game like this, but when you look at the season and you look at the success that you guys have had this year and last year, but obviously the disappointment of the Georgia losses this season, where's your head at as relates to where you guys are now, and how do you press forward?
We're going to compete for a national championship. That's where my mind is at.
Final question, right side.
Steve, what'd you say on the fake punt and just, that point of the game, the ball's on the field there, just what were you seeing and just how surprised were you by that, I guess?
We had a return set up, they ran a motion, and, I thought we actually defended it relatively well. We had a return on where we were doubling the gunner, and so we lost kind of some of our edge containment there because we were doubling the gunner. I thought Jade did a heck of a job of chasing the motion. The kid they flipped the ball to is a 10, 200 meter guy. I know him well. I recruited him out of high school. And so it turns into a foot race at that moment. And so it wasn't like we just got completely duped and had no clue. It was just by the time Jade could make that tackle, I think it was 4th and 5 or something. They might have gained 6 or 7 yards on the play. So it was a bang, bang play. Nice call by them. It was good execution.
Thank you very much, Coach.
How do y'all?
Y'all did get completely duped, in my humble opinion, on that fake punt by Georgia. It was a critical moment in the game. I think Georgia had to go for it right there because Texas, offensively, they was moving that football. So you could not give them the ball right back then because they probably would have came down and scored. So Georgia did a good thing in calling that fake punt, advanced the ball. I think they ended either scoring a touchdown or getting a field goal, I believe, on that drive. So y'all let me know what y'all think was in the comments below.